The fear of being judged. It's what stops most people from doing what they want, saying what they actually want to say, and living a life of purpose and fulfillment instead of just living for the sake of other people's validation. Putting myself out there on the internet for the past 4 years has taught me more about myself and how my subjective experience relates to others more than anything else in my life possibly could. And I'm very happy that I've gotten to the point where judgment has little to no effect on me. Firstly, because, I don't want it fucking up my mental state, but also because now I can teach you about what I've learned about judgment. And I also want to explain to you why judgment can be a really beneficial thing under the right circumstances. So let's take you through how I've formulated my thoughts on judgment. As a kid, I oftentimes forced myself to be a certain person in order to fit in. Looking back on it, it's actually how I was for the majority of my life so far. This especially happened in high school when everyone was going through puberty, and the most important thing going on in my life at that time was if I got invited to a party on the weekend or not. I had gone to a public school, but most of the parties that were happening during that time were hosted by private school kids because they had the parents that didn't give a shit if their kids were underage drinking because they knew that they could get away with it. And this was really the crowd that I wanted to be a part of, these private school kids that were partying every weekend. The attractive girls from my high school always got invited to these parties, but as a guy, it was up to who you knew and how much those private school kids liked you that determined whether you were gonna get invited or not. Freshman year, I was lucky to know the right people, and I got invited to a decent amount of parties during that time. And this invitation that I got dictated my emotions throughout the whole week. Like the whole week before Friday and Saturday, I would just think about, will I be able to fit in this week? Will people want me to be somewhere? And that being somewhere being the party. Fitting in and not being judged controlled me. And the same thing happened when I went off to college. My way into my first real friend group in college was how much I was able to drink. People were impressed by it, and that made me feel good. And because of that, I partied often and frequently. But when I look back on it, a lot of the times I was peer pressured to do stuff like that I knew deep down I really didn't want to do. But I did it because if I said no, then I would be judged. I'd be an outcast. And I would wear what everyone else was wearing at the time. Sperry's, salmon pants, and that Justin Bieber flow. I really did not know myself back then, and the parts of myself that I did know that made me unique, I suppressed in order to fit in. Now that's kind of just part of growing up and being a kid and being in your young 20s, and I definitely did have fun partying and going out all the time, but I never fully felt like me. And then sophomore year of college rolled around, and I wanted to start uploading YouTube videos. Like for real, to the public, for everyone to see. I wanted to take it seriously. I had made YouTube videos in the past on games like Minecraft and RuneScape when I was a kid, but I never told anybody about them in real life because I was too afraid of being judged. But I knew that if I wanted to take this channel seriously and eventually become a YouTuber, I would have to share it with people that I know. And so I made my first post about my first YouTube video on Instagram. For one of the first times in my life, I decided to do something that I knew I would be judged for. At the start, my close friends were really supportive, but they were telling me that other people that I knew were roasting my video. One girl I actually grew up with was like asking my friends if I was being serious, like I was seriously talking about how to be confident in a YouTube video and it wasn't satire. Another girl from my high school posted me on her Snapchat story and called what I was doing ratchet. And the confidence jokes on my Instagram from my video started pouring in. I had parents asking me what I was doing and why I was doing this instead of getting a real job, but I just kept uploading. I drowned out the noise and I did what I wanted and what I believed in. And now I can deal with being judged easier than ever, even though I'm getting judged more than I ever have before due to the amount of reach and impact that my videos have. Now you might think that I'm just going to tell you to start doing more of the things that you really want to do and eventually you'll become immune to being judged, but I'm not going to just say that. I'm sure that that's helped me just like putting myself out there in some weird way to most people. So many times, but that's not actually good advice to get you to just want to start doing something. If you want to start doing things that you know you'll be judged for, you have to ask yourself why that person is judging you. The first thing that you need to understand is where that person is coming from and what their reality looks like. So I'll explain it like this. Probably more than anything, the thing that I get critiqued most on the internet is my physique. And with all these judgments, I noticed something pretty funny. On the one hand, many people think I'm on steroids or some other sort of performance enhancing drug. They think that I look big enough to be considered on steroids, which is a huge compliment, by the way. If anyone's done that, thank you. But at the same time, I get comments from people saying I don't even look like I lift, that my physique is shit, and that I should have way more muscle than I have for lifting as long as I have now. What this reveals to me is that everyone is looking at the world through a different lens. For the people that think I look like I'm on steroids, they've probably seen the very best pictures of me in the best lighting and pump and haven't consumed a lot of content from fake natural bodybuilders who are much bigger than me. And for the people who think I don't even look like I lift, these people's realities are that the fake natural bodybuilders and what you see on sites like Instagram, where everybody is editing pictures or making themselves look as big as possible, is the way that every veteran weightlifter should look. When people judge you, they are judging you based on the perspective that they have seen so far throughout their life, which is their own biases based on the types of things that they've consumed over the years. In those cases, it has absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Their reality is much different from yours, and you can't expect everyone who sees you doing your own thing to understand who you really are or what you're trying to say. The next time you get judged for something, you need to ask yourself, do they know the whole story? And what does their reality probably look like? You see, we've all taken in information over the years that has formulated our opinions on what's right or wrong, ugly or beautiful, fat or skinny. And most people in life have followed what others have told them is right or wrong or cool and not cool. And so there's a collective opinion that the majority follow that states what you should be like and what you should do. This is the majority opinion. These people are saying, hey, this is what the majority of people have told me throughout my life, so I believe that this is true and this is how people should be living their lives and what they should be doing, and so you're not doing that, so I'm gonna judge you for it. The person who's judging you for going against the grain of society is probably someone who doesn't even have the capacity to think for themselves, and yet you're letting their subjective experience control how you feel. You can't expect someone who is so tied down to societal expectations and norms to ever understand why you're deciding to do something that the majority of people aren't doing. And probably the most helpful thing to not being overtaken by criticism and letting it control you is simply to know this, that how other people treat you is a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves. When people tell me, your videos are stupid, your topics are stupid, the way you're saying things are stupid, I don't agree with you, I don't like these, you should stop them, and it's just pure hate, what I think to myself is, this person took time out of their day to spread hate on my channel. They must be going through some sort of very tough internal battle, because no one who truly loves themselves and lives by their own rules and loves what they do would ever comment something like that. Most of the people that say shit like that on my videos are the ones that are too afraid to step outside their comfort zones and make a video themselves because they're afraid of being judged. The next time someone judges you and it's pure hate, you need to ask yourself, what must they be going through in their own lives to go out of their way to do something like that? Again, it's not you, it's them projecting their own fears of being judged onto you. I'd like to make a very important distinction between bad judgment and judgment that's actually good for you, like when you should keep an open mind about criticism. Sometimes the collective majority is worth listening to, but there's usually a clear difference in the way that this is presented. If someone were to tell me, hey, your audio sounds pretty bad in this clip, you should try adding some sort of equalizer to it, that's a great time to accept judgment and learn from it. When someone is offering you a solution to what they don't like and it involves you improving in some way instead of just changing to fit in with everyone or stopping doing what you're doing completely, you should listen and learn from it. But please understand that when most people judge you and criticize you in a very negative way, they are judging you based on what they've listened to and seen and experienced in their reality and what is right and wrong in their reality, and that they are probably struggling much more internally to be the person that they really want to be and to live a happy life if they're willing to go out of their way to do that. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. Skillshare is my favorite online learning community with thousands of classes to choose from, no matter how you're trying to improve yourself. They have classes on how to talk to a camera, productivity, business, entrepreneurship, video editing, writing, and a lot more. I think one of the best ways to deal with judgment and really internalize it and understand why it is bothering you so much is to do some sort of journaling practice. And a journaling class that I think a lot of you guys would like that I've watched is Writing for Self-Discovery, 6 Journal Prompts for Gratitude and Growth by 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝙞𝙖𝙧. The journaling practice I like to do the most from that is the brain dump, where you just take one page to just write down something that's been bothering you or some sort of mental blockage. It's curated specifically for learning. That means there's no ads on the platform, and they always have new classes whenever I come back. So the possibilities for learning something are pretty much endless. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare Premium. It used to be 14 days, but they're doing this through September. So take advantage of that and start exploring your creativity today. And thank you to all the patrons from Patreon on this channel. As always, this is a platform I'm putting out exclusive content. That link is also in the description, and that's it. I'm signing off. Have a good rest of your day and do stuff that makes you feel judged. If it makes you happy, just do it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go now.